When last we met, a big battle had just been fought. Drama emotions ran high. Someone defeated a rival. Someone else decided to stab and kill everyone else in the freaking vicinity with his fucking halberd with massive success. And, of course, Vlad and um, Vlad decided to go back and inform the campsite of a possible impending army, and the rest of you decided to track them.
Yes. And before we called it last time, we were just entering the woods to follow their path.
That's right, because
We
you
went.
guys went up to the mountain, said fuck that path, and then went back down to the wood path.
It's not even just like fuck that path. We're not all together, so I don't want to put us in a position where it's clearly my fault that we all died.
Aww.
Yes, I'm such a stinker. So that said, should probably continue on and keep tracking for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you want me to base it off rolls from last game? Because I think I made the rolls and then you had to go for whatever reason, and then
No, I got them. You
stop.
guys, you guys were able to track them.
Okay, so
You track about a good 20 men, possibly on horseback, some on foot, going into the woods.
the
The
woods go deeper in.
the rain makes it difficult, but you eventually manage to track the footprints, and they're actually not going towards the village. They're actually veering away, going even deeper into the woods, away from the clearing plains.
Okay. Then so then at this point I'm under the impression that 40 split off and went up the mountain, and then
Yes.
okay. All right, Jason, are you down for a little more tracking?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna keep on going for a little bit, then we'll turn back.
All right.
I'll do key detection too.
You detect faint traces of key as you're tracking along the trail that you've come down to. And you continue to track them down, even in the rain and mud. You're doing a quite fantastic job of tracking them. For whatever reason, they don't appear to be doing a very good job of covering the tracks.
It's a robot army. What can you expect?
And eventually, the forest starts to change just a little bit. It becomes a bit more swampy.
Like familiar swamp.
No, like even more swampy. Like as in that area you can was kind of muggy with like a few swamp holes here or there, but this is like starting to look like actual swamp.
Like Yu Yu Hakusho swamp and the dead swamp from that
Uh,
first arc.
Dark Souls Poison Marsh swamp.
Okay. Ouch. Scary.
The light that was shining in from the canopies barely amongst the big tall trees and pines that you guys had originally explored is now almost completely out, and it's almost the dimness of twilight. Most of the trees are either dead or dying in this area, and all sunlight has almost been completely blocked out.
Okay.
Yet the trail, surprisingly, is not covered by swamp or mud or grass, and continues on at a solid-looking line. In other words, it's the only part of this entire swamp that actually looks stable.
All right. What kind of check would it be to memorize this path that they took so as to not fall in later?
That's a good question.
So if I remember right, memorize is really for like literature and junk.
Go ahead and just roll me a literature then.
Well, memorize, but yeah.
Well, memorize. If there's memorize, then yeah, roll memorize.
Or would it be navigation?
Navigation would be to help you get through, not to memorize it.
Okay. Nope.
It's okay. You'll remember that rock over there.
So it's a special little rock.
I feel like I should do the memorize as well, so I can keep track of the trail too.
Go ahead.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get a negative roll?
When you have a minus to something and you roll really low, and that minus is more than what you've rolled, you get a minus.
Rules as written also says that any negatives are just rolled as 0.
Yes.
Oh.
Jason, you managed to memorize a little bit of it, but even you're having trouble memorizing it since it's somewhat odd looking.
Is there anything coming up on Sea Supernatural?
As you see Supernatural, actually, yeah, you can see spirits floating around.
Boy. Spooky.
They appear to be more like wisps right now.
Yeah. I'd do like a key detect to see where their alignment stands.
The spirits appear to be sad, confused, and or hungry.
I don't like that last part.
There are spirits of mostly just nature here, but there's a couple spirits of the wild here as well.
Okay. And then I take it the army is nowhere to be found.
Well, you can see the trail continues down the path, but yeah, you don't see any of them.
Jason, how risky you feeling?
Let's do it.
All right, we're going on.
All right, you continue onward. Would all of you roll me a perception, normal perception, please?
Like characteristic?
No, like search, sorry. I'm sorry, notice. Notice, roll a notice. This is a notice.
Does this include me?
Are you there with them?
No, but you said everyone.
Well, everyone who's involved in the scene at the moment. If you like, you may roll a notice check to notice that your shoe is untied, Vlad. Your shoe is untied.
Very untied. You see about 8 different ways you could make it better.
Is the book there with him to do a notice check?
Actually, that's a good point. Libra, roll a notice.
I always carry him with me, so
Does the notice check use a sense or for a sense that I do not have?
Do you have sight?
I can only see things that have souls.
He did just say that there's souls coming out of the ground.
Well, I'm thinking about,
I cannot perceive environmental hazards, for example.
okay, so can you perceive environment at all?
No, I cannot.
Okay.
I can only perceive living beings.
Chuck,
Or dead beings.
Go ahead and roll me a notice anyway. Because you can see these then.
Chuck.
Okay.
I feel underrolled.
No. Remember, I'm a ranger. I get huge bonuses on level up and at a 1-to-1 ratio. Chuck's a wizard, so fuck him. Chuck, I wish you could see the shit-eating grin on my face, but he tells you to roll notice.
Dracovius is currently being blocked by his book. No. Actually, it is at this point, errata, that you do notice something.
Fantastic.
You notice these creatures, or humanoid figures, that are kind of keeping themselves hidden from you. They're kind of all around here and there. It's actually very hard to pinpoint them, but you can see them. They peer at you from around the trees or around a rock or even up onto the swamp. They're very tall, very thin, very lean. They look like they're wearing rags, and they look humanoid, but they're twisted and disfigured. Something's off about them. And you can't see their faces because their faces are all bundled in rags.
They're Navajo skinwalkers, aren't they?
I don't know. No, they are not Navajo skinwalkers.
Damn.
They're Dark Soul skinwalkers.
That's infinitely more spooky. What would a skinwalker in Dark Souls act like?
Probably like every other skinwalker ever.
Except these ones will kill you in one hit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
These beings don't seem to be extremely hostile towards you at the moment, but they definitely are observing you.
Fantastic. Do like a key detection to like see how many are around me.
Go ahead. Their key is black and purple, and there are at least 20 around you.
Ooh, buddy.
It's at this point that you feel a little bit of a tremor in the ground, and it stops. And you see the twig-like creatures disappear. And you hear the tremor again. Thum. 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 Thum.
I don't want to take cover. Make another shitty hide roll.
And I'm not going to have the book make a hide roll because that's just silly. But Dracovius can roll a hide roll. So you two realize that there's really not a whole lot to take cover on the path with, but you can at least maybe hide in some bushes or shrubbery.
With my roll, I have to ask, is there even a point?
Boom, 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 boom. And you can feel the ground shake with each thoom.
If my key detection's still up, can I get like an outline of the shape?
You do receive an outline of the shape. This shape is at least a good 10 miles away. It's fairly far away, just out of your range. At least in terms of overall, shall we say, normal detection.
Right.
But you can't really see the outline too well, but you can definitely tell what the ore color is. It's orange, and it's hungry.
Well, I will. That's probably a big guy. I think we've done enough scouting now. And we'll head back.
So you pull back and head back to camp?
Yep.
Okay, hold on.
There's a thingy that is making shock waves from 10 miles away. Fuck that.
Well, to be fair, you don't know if that was the thing making shockwaves, but, good guess. You pull yourself out of the swamp, and you guys start to fall back, and you come back towards the canopy and the pine trees and the rain. But it's easier to breathe in this part of the woods. Much easier. Almost relaxing, in fact. Anyone who has suffered any mental damage may recover free mental damage.
Damn. So, like, from what I'm getting here, there's just like, I imagine we went into another person's territory, if for not only just like a couple minutes. So, like, there's different like areas of pressure. The pressure is like just oppressive.
Yes,
It feels different.
it was hot, hard to breathe, condensed, felt very enclosing, felt like something was watching you from every corner. When you step into the open pines, even though it's dark and creepy, it's lighter, there's rain, it's easier to breathe, there's a fresh feeling. You're not worried that everything's going to stab you from 5 seconds, even though actually most of the danger you guys have actually fought has been in this part of the woods.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we found a new spot. We found the cave system that may or may not be housing creatures or storage supplies, and a city on top of a mountain. I think we did good. All without alerting, and we got some rough numbers to deal with. So I'll head back.
Dracovius, it's at this moment you feel your book is somewhat warm.
I will check the book.
You bring out the book. It's a fairly ornately carved book, looking like an old tome that you'd find in one of the old libraries from your homeland, with a nice spiral embroidered design on the front. And the book is surprisingly warm, even though it really shouldn't be. However, you do remember something about this book. Something very special about this book. The reason why you've kept it for all these years. You feel that now in your time, for whatever reason in your mind, is probably the best time to ask the book what the hell it's doing.
I will open the book and ask, pretty much ask it, yes, what do you need, book? Because I don't think I would know his name.
Pages of the book are blank until the book decides to do something.
That's you, Jack? I hate you.
To be fair, it is text on the page, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. He's being a smart ass.
Is that why you started to warm up?
The black ink scribbles itself onto the pages as you look down.
Yeah, let's hope you don't burst into flames. Or I might have to, put you in some water, I find.
Of course, everyone else just sees Dracovius talking to an open book.
Yes.
I then look around, to see who's looking at me weirdly.
The only one is me.
Okay, I look around to see if Arada's looking at me weirdly.
I'm giving you the raised eyebrow. I give you the raised eyebrow, but I'm not going to call you crazy. I was just talking to my sword not too long ago.
I will then go back to the book and say, oh, that is true, but how would I put you out if you were to burst into flames?
Hey, Ryder, glad to see you back in this neck of the woods. How have you been?
Are we? Is that Sylvia?
Yeah, she's standing right behind you.
Ah, you're such a card sneaking up on me.
She pokes your chest with a stick. She's like, you're dead.
Not as dead as that one guy that I didn't get the name of.
Any news on where the army split?
Yes, we have a 2/3 split. 40 went up the mountains. You scouted out the mountains, but we went into a cave. None much of note. We backed off. And, saw there was a village of some sort on top of the same mountain that they split on. And then the other 20 went past a swamp. We heard some thuds. My eyes could see a bunch of spirits around in the swamp. I saw a lot of indigenous things, people, very thin, very lanky, very introverted, and the loud thuds, from what I could see, was something with a key signature from 10 miles away. So it's didn't want to play with fire on that one.
My father told me much of that swamp. I've never been there myself. But it's a place of rot and decay, not a place I enjoy going. However, if they've gone there, I think I may know what's going on here.
Let's go get a drink, pal. Or Vlad it.
I believe 2 of the fallen lords are going to war.
Lovely. Well, that means a couple things for us. There's a distraction that we didn't have to make. There's going to be a direction of forces that won't be pointed at us. There's a lot of other things that could mean, but those are the 2 that stand out to me. But,
Errata,
yes.
are you all right?
I'll take a drink and look at her. What do you mean?
What happened out there in that village? What did that... What did those hands mean to you? Who was that man you fought?
So it is at this point I will tell the story of how the dude who I have yet to name messed me up, in which I was saved by the count. And then in that village, he apparently, due to my own, I feel my own mistakes, for not letting the family know that I was attacked, he visited them and he cut off her hands. He cut off her hands, and I flew into a rage.
I see. It's tough to be outnumbered in this situation.
Yep. And he's coming back. He's not gone yet. He's not gonna take a defeat like that lightly, I'm sure. And I mean, if he's somewhere else, who's to say he's not there right now, finishing the job? And I'm here on this island.
Yes, I know. I wish there was more I could do to help, but there's nothing I can. My dimensional travel cannot leave the island.
Yep.
And it seems that whoever is making this barrier, I still don't know which one of them,
That was Jericho, I believe.
At least that's what we thought. Although this barrier is proving to be far more durable than we thought. I just recently found out this morning that I cannot travel beyond the wall. I think we're officially stuck here.
Oh.
And I do mean stuck here. Maria sent me a message, came to me today when I was aiding Vlad in coming back to the fort. Maria has officially told me that now there is no physical way past the barrier. Period. We're stuck here until we either find a way or until Jericho gets bored. And my father is most likely very busy and cannot aid us either.
And
However, this is good news for you, meaning that your rival can also not leave the island.
it's good news indeed. But what can we do then? Because if we're stuck here, that means we get no help, no reinforcements, nothing. We have limited resources. We have only a handful of villages that will have a conversation with us versus a whole continent.
Yeah. I was able to call in some help before things went awry. It was actually a guild I'm a part of.
Oh?
Yes, me and a few others. They're around the island at the moment, but a few of them will definitely make themselves known, and they may be able to help us. Unfortunately, it's still only a handful.
Mm-hmm.
But we're very capable.
That I've got no doubt of. It's just the long run that I'm concerned with.
Well, I guess for now, we merely recuperate and plan our next move. I know that Vlad needs to get rid of this man, and I can definitely aid in that task, but if you wish to venture into Londo, we all must be ready, and as a group.
Yeah. So, I will take that as a cue to keep preparing, and I think our next move should be to further scout out that mountain as a team, not as a small detachment. I'm capable of many things, but I can't do that on my own.
Indeed. Oh, there was a friend of mine that came in. He's not a member of the guild, but he's an older gentleman that I've known for a while. Just recently had a very traumatic event happen to him. I passed along the situation, and he's agreed to help us. More the merrier, I suppose.
Indeed.
He calls himself Ozaru. He is a skilled martial artist and great in the act of controlling fire. I have no doubt he will be excellent aid to us.
Fantastic.
I believe he is sitting in your camp waiting. And to answer the question that you're probably asking, yes, because I'm getting so sick of players missing people missing their characters, I am literally taking over characters here and there that don't show up.
I mean, at least they're like fully fleshed out.
Yep, I'm giving them purpose.
GMPCs everywhere.
Not to mention Stein is also back in the camp, basically
But
forming everything out.
also, I don't know if you can retcon it. I wanted Dracovius to be there too. Not just Vlad.
Yeah, Ozaru's there, and then also Stein is also there. Ozaru, Stein, Vlad, Tanya, and whoever else is currently in the camp.
All right. What a team meeting. Oh, with that, I'm going to ask Sylvia and Dracovius if they can identify anything noteworthy about the armor that what's his face dropped.
Dracovius or Jason, would you roll me a appraisal?
I don't want to eventually put that shit on and then be possessed.
You said a magic appraisal?
See. It's armor.
Lovely. Ain't touching that shit.
It just seems to be well-crafted, heavy armor. If anything, it's definitely made in the style of Eastern, traditional samurai heavy armor, but it's heavy, like really heavy.
Yeah. At this point, I just have to hold on to it. I can't really, or put it away somewhere that's not on me because I can't actually wear that yet. So, that being said, if there is nothing else to happen this evening, a couple things that I want to do is take one of the Tetsubos and make like a shrine to what's her face Asakura.
Mm-hmm.
Not Tatsuya, but the incarnation, the Oni princess.
Mm-hmm.
Just a second. Eiko, the Oni princess. Deity heralded as one of the greatest warriors for the Asakura family.
Yep.
So I will do that. And then following the prayer, I will just see if Spirit Tatiana can give me some more insight into who she is, what she does with the sword, if the sword gets anything from her, that sort of stuff.
Now, are you talking to the spirit of your sword, or are you actually talking to Tanya?
The spirit of the sword.
I know it's confusing because Tanya, Tatiana, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
As you meditate for a while and pray, eventually you do hear her voice. Oh, you finally decided to talk with me then? How quaint of you.
Finally, don't call me rude.
If you had had your ears open, you could have been hearing me the entire time you went into the swamp. Me yelling, "Don't go in there, idiot."
I swear to guys, but if you make me say vodka at any point in this fucking game, I'm going to kill you.
You should simply shout out my name.
hate you so much right now. Because I know it's coming eventually. I don't know when. I don't know how you're gonna throw it in there, but you're gonna make me do it. I'm gonna hate you and have to do it anyway.
It's
Anyways,
okay. Zahn already pissed me off with a Harry Potter reference with his name.
Jason, you gotta talk to your new buddy. But
I'm assuming Jason never put me down.
No, I didn't. So, to answer that question, Dracovius will say, yes, he is, but we're all mad, so it's nothing new.
we're all insane, says the dude with the dark magic. We're all fucking insane.
Says the dude with the dark magic in the talking book.
I'll be right back, guys.
Ouch. Libra. Libra is hearing this in his mind. Yes.
I'm back.
Perfect.
Well, at the very least, you didn't get yourself killed in the swamp.
Yes, I think that's a wonderful.
Nonetheless, this blood I've tasted, it's tainted.
Ow. I need to wash you, don't I?
I suppose that would be a next appropriate step. After all, a swordsman that does not take care of his sword is, well, not a swordsman.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do that.
You clean the sword and you notice that it's actually quite easy to clean because it's so well crafted. Tanya really has outdone herself with this one. You clean it and you notice that the white shimmer has once again returned very easily. Heck, if anything, it almost feels like you didn't even need to clean it. You could have just flicked it and everything would have come off. It's at this point you notice the craftsmanship is fucking ridiculous because Zahn got 2 criticals with this fucking sword. I'm sorry, Zeta got 2 criticals with this fucking sword.
Wow.
This is a +10 sword. It is master crafted, and it is badass.
Good stuff.
Made from white steel.
So, for the sake of brevity, move on. If there's anything specific you want to tell me, like Discord or something.
Well, yeah, the sword just stabs you because you don't enjoy the story. Fuck you. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
No, the after you clean the sword, she says she kind of asks you about what's your beef with this guy and whatnot, and then she says, "Oh, I get it." And then she says, "You must feel upset that you can't get a message back out to your family. How long has it been since you've seen them?"
Oh, it's. What would you say, Bot? It's been close to 3 years now?
Yep.
Yeah. It's been about 3 years with no poorly judged contact. Hold on. Ringo style. I get the very.
The picture literally freeze frames in Frank Miller style, and everything like freeze frames into like this nice artist's drawing as you're doing your little dialogue. And little tiny Japanese characters come on the side saying, "Coo."
No contact in the last 3 years. Not the smartest thing I've ever done.
Will you ever go see them?
I'd love to. I can only hope they got the missive I sent before the barrier got thrown up. So they at least know I'm alive.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so.
Company coming?
She telling me that, or
The sword is.
where?
Well, you only see one person walking towards you, and that's Sylvia.
Ah. Hello.
She nods. Hello. Talking to your sword again?
Oh, as always, some old habits die hard.
Yes, pardon for the intrusion, but a colleague of mine who's currently out scouting around did just point out something very important to me. I know you are a skilled veteran and a skilled warrior, and I have no doubt that you and your companions are very beneficial and skilled in your own ways, but if you are to truly face what is to come, then I really should be preparing you more. I myself am far more seasoned and has a lot more experience, as well, I've lived about another 200 to 300 years more than you. I really should be aiding you more in this training.
What did you have in mind? I'm a little sketched out by this because it came out of the blue.
Well, he pointed out to me that I have yet to really show you some of the things that you may face, and facing... I feel so arrogant for saying this. I'm sorry, Arata. Forgive me. But in facing a stronger opponent, you may have a lot to learn and gauge from further conflicts. You did very well against your rival in the village, however, you still barely came out.
This is true.
However, you and Dracovius proved yourselves quite heartily, as did Vlad. But if you are to truly face what is to come, perhaps fighting a stronger opponent, engaging them and learning from it, and learning to overcome, could be a very valuable lesson.
You're not wrong.
So, since none of my other colleagues are here at the moment, but they will definitely provide good training for you, I will take over for the moment. And since you clearly have nothing to do other than clean your sword, she says with an almost somewhat seductive tone, she draws her sword, her cutlass, and says, "Perhaps we should entertain ourselves."
I mean, if you're gonna put it like that, you want some dinner first, maybe some wine.
She chuckles and she says, "Well, wine's already been consumed." I may have you for dinner later. I'm just kidding, Arata. I won't consume your flesh and soul. I haven't done that in 300 years.
You already had some 2 liters of blood yesterday. I think it's just about good. More or less the same.
She smiles. Well, as tasty as your blood was, I have no intention of sucking you dry, she says with a smirk.
So, initiative?
Initiative. Whoops. Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, are the others partaking in it?
This is going to be one-on-one right now, unless Dracovius wants to jump in.
Are we all back at the camp?
Yes.
Or are they back at the camp now?
Yes, everyone's back at the camp.
Okay.
All right.
You may go first.
All right. Going in with the two-hander. Jesus.
This will be a counterattack.
What is that? Cut?
Yeah, this will be cut. Of course, non-lethal.
Right. 480 uncut.
Jeez. Ow. So, in one move of this first round, she spins, deflects your,
I'm down.
no daichi, sorry. She spins, deflects your no daichi, spins, and then smashes the hilt of her cutlass right into your forehead. You are instantly KO'd and then are awoken to splashing water on your face. She is holding a bucket over you, and she's like, "Good, again." That was me going mass power. I'll tone it back a bit.
Oh, thank you for being so kind.
And the whole time, Jacobius is laughing while watching.
Oh, don't consider yourself that lucky, Dracovius. You will be next eventually. And she points the cutlass back to Arata and takes stance again.
I'm laughing at him now.
She says, "Come on, Arata, put some emotion into it."
All right. That said, I'll pump a point of fatigue, not fatigue, key into the blade. One day it'll do something and I'll know what it's doing, other than just making it glow.
Mm-hmm.
hurts. It hurts so much. Just gonna,
Go ahead and roll your defense.
just gonna like go talk to Yaya. If you got something to share, I would love to hear it right about now.
Why? I'm having too much fun watching this. So as you dash forward again, except this time she jumps up, and rather than physically doing damage to you, she shifts her feet, transfers her cutlass up the length of your blade, flicks, and disarms you.
I was expecting a fucking foot to my face, but that works too. All right, then. Pull up the Tonto.
Go ahead and make another attack.
I'll be right back again.
And I'll put 2 points of fatigue.
Very nice. Nothing happens.
I'll go in for another attack.
You swing at her, clashes with her sword, nothing happens. Ooh, nice. She botches.
Wow.
That first attack surprised her so much that you managed to catch her a bit off guard. Although it's still a dead zone, she did botch, and she actually winds up slipping, and she falls on the ground. Although she catches herself and restables very quickly, she lost balance.
Damn. This would be like catch her myself. Oh, all right. I will withhold my last action.
She uses her action to restable, and she makes 3 cuts in the air, and then takes a defensive stance. You have a free action to pick your sword back up.
All right. I'll do that and I'll start accumulating. Then I'll also go on the defensive.
I'm back.
Interesting. She noticed you've gone on the defensive, so she starts to go on the offensive. She starts to stab her sword through the cuts, and you notice that there are small cuts appearing around you, and her sword is coming through at you from them. Like when she reaches into one cut, you see 3 different cuts open in front of you, and 3 different cutlasses come out and try and stab you. Or 3 of the same cutlass come out and try and stab you.
Well, that's concerning.
Go ahead and roll. Excellent. You managed to defend them.
Yay!
Not quite enough for a counterattack, but you block off all the swords. You notice they are coming at you from almost every angle. The fact that you are blocking them is quite impressive.
Alrighty. Let's see. I will remain on the defensive for 2 turns. Just one more to go.
All right. she will also go into defensive as you see several different cutlasses kind of form around her, and they start to hover above her, but then they disappear and go into the cuts.
Oh boy.
Your turn.
So then, turn 3?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, you know what's next. So minus 24, or 25, puts me at 23 key. I'm going to pull up my fucking key sheet. Alright. So, first step, the Sylvia needs to make a notice roll of 240 or higher. Or is that surprised?
She is surprised.
Alright. I'm going to pump 2 more key points in. Damn, even at surprised? Fuck me.
She does not get surprised. She has the million eyes.
I see. Oh, there goes that.
You see something interesting.
Hmm.
When you activate the technique, you can feel your key flow. You feel everything step into motion. And would you actually go ahead and give me a nice visual cue of what it looks like why they have to do a notice check and like what it actually looks like?
Like I described before, I would make a stabbing, like I'm going in for a stabbing, but as the blade enters them, it's actually disappearing, and the blade will come out from the ground or some other like solid surface and hit them in the back.
You see your technique almost executed perfectly, except as your blade goes through her, your sword doesn't appear from another direction. Instead, you, and only you, see this. You see thousands upon thousands of small tears open up inside all around you. Everywhere, even on your skin. Everywhere you can possibly see. Except Sylvia. And they all open up and they have eyes. Her eyes. Just one in each scar. Looking at you. And she grabs your sword with her bare hand, goes in very close, and whispers in your ear and says, "I see you." Grabs your face and slams you into the ground with massive amounts of force. And you are KO'd again.
And I at least look good doing it.
Yes. And you are again woken up with a splash of water.
Just look up at her. Rude. I can just go back down.
I have too much magic.
Do you know?
Uh-oh, bud, are you in trouble?
No. Oh, hold on. Gotta take the dogs out. Be right back. Yes, Arata, you are woken up to some more water splashing in your face and the droplets of rain kind of bearing down on you. And Sylvia
Fantastic.
is standing over you, smiling.
Ha! You're winning. What's it good? Go back down.
You may chat with other players at the moment while I am off taking the dogs out.
Alright. So, Draco, my boy, you want to tell us what's going on with that book?
I'll open up the book and say, ask yourself.
You want me to talk to the book?
I'll just nod.
And I want to write in the book.
Are you gonna draw a picture in the book?
I might. Don't do that, you simpleton. I'm a grimoire, not a sketchbook. What's a sketchbook? Draco, your book's really rude.
I was just gonna say at the last comment, I'll say, dude, be nice.
And call Vlado. He's like, hey, look at this.
Vlad walks over and just looks at the pages. Just shakes his head.
Just fucking fills out by itself. Watch what happens when I try to draw on it.
I'll sign Telerata. No drawing in the book.
I have to. It's for science. I draw the most beautiful star that a 57 can make me. at minus 30, by the way.
Libra, you have my permission to do whatever, Dara.
And this is why I have too much magic.
Still, you have my permission.
I swear to you, lad, it was writing itself. It was amazing. It's just not doing it this time. I'm gonna keep drawing stars.
I'm just gonna go into Arata's mind and go, are you sure you're not like writing that stuff down just to like trick me? I mean, come on, we've served together for a long time. I know what practical jokes look like.
Well, I'm not trying to make you eat a crayon and say the blueberries in it like those giants from what's his face? You know the place, the
Yeah.
bastions of the Olifair people. Yeah, it's not like those. This is a real one.
All right, let's see this proof.
Now you listen here, Book. Much to your own chagrin,
Hey, Sarge. Roll
I'm gonna keep.
notice.
Okay. Fuck off, Chuck.
So you can perceive an air attack coming at your face.
Oh, you're gonna knock me back? Come on, roll for it. Let's see how far I get knocked back.
Roll strength. You don't take any damage and you don't get knocked back. You just get your face blown by wind.
I'm waiting, Arata. Still not doing anything.
My head just got blown back.
You told me to watch the book, not your head.
I'm gonna keep drawing stars.
At that point, Jacobius will say to Libra, do something a little more, worse.
I'm still drawing stars. I'm gonna make. Oh shit! All right, I'm gonna draw the fucking Asakura family crest in you. You're branded, bitch.
I still don't see what's supposed to happen.
I mean, the wind is wrinkling his face back as it keeps hitting him in the face.
Oh, it wasn't just one blast, it's a continual blow.
Yeah, no, it's repeated blasts. It just keeps happening. Blowing his hair back, blowing his skin back. I can do it infinitely.
I'm back.
Oh, you missed so much. saw the book talking. I saw it
Arata,
was
what is happening to your face?
people did it from the book.
And the whole time, Dracovius is laughing.
I can't understand a word you're saying, Arata. I mean, speak clearly. I know you're from another land, but come on.
The book.
I think what our friend is trying to say is the book, the book.
What you missed was
I
Roll magic resistance.
oh boy.
Oh my god, you passed on the dot.
Nice.
The book. So, I asked Dracovius about him talking to the book, and he's like, "Ask yourself." I was like, "Do you want me to talk to the book?" Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to draw in it instead. And I started doing art rolls.
And then Zan was like, "Don't draw on me, motherfucker."
That's exactly what he did. And it's like, well, I'm going to keep drawing. He's like, "Oh, the book, the book." So point at it from flat.
and now I see the words magically appear that I do not like you. I'll be like, whoa. I'll pull my
Meanwhile, it keeps
pistol out and
erasing
aim
the
it.
stars that he keeps drawing.
I didn't get.
I'll grip my pistol and hold it at my side, going, "What the hell is this?"
That, Vlad, Sylvia pipes up, is what happens when you transfer your soul into an object.
You can do that?
Yes. There are very few that know how to do it, but it can be done.
And at that point, Dracovius says, just like this, "He my friend."
Yeah, doing the cold.
How long have you had him with you?
Wait.
Zan, how long did we say for that?
So you're telling me
How long has Dracovius been studying magic?
That would be about 10 to 12 years.
So you're telling me that I can have my soul put inside my rifle?
Yes. It's a very dangerous procedure and not always effective, but yes.
I'm gonna start looking at my rifle like with a look on my face, wondering if there's a soul inside my rifle already. Considering I just attached a scope to it.
Nope. But your rifle looks nice.
By the way, anyone that can see supernatural, this book lights up like Christmas morning constantly. Like Xeon that exists in the air is drawn to the book and then expelled in spells.
Hence why Sylvia figured out what he was when he first appeared. I believe that is a soul of a wizard who has been put into a book, and he's been sitting there traveling with Dracovius for I do not know how long. However, that little trick he's using of blowing wind in Mr. Arata's face is rather amusing. Arata, maybe you should just close the book.
Not until it submits. A frontliner never retreats.
I admire your bravery, Arata, and while I admit you could easily destroy the book and possibly kill, Libra said very quickly, when it comes to matters such as submitting, you are outclassed tremendously in this bout.
No killing my book friend.
I don't want him to kill. I don't want him to die. I want him to acknowledge me as his better.
Which is exactly why you will fail this bout, Arata. But nonetheless, I will sit down and observe this. And she sits down and grabs, portrays a bottle of wine from nowhere and just starts chugging it and laughing.
I'll enter the mind of Sylvia and ask her if she can teach me very basic fencing with a rapier.
Oh, of course.
For ceremonial purposes, and I'll explain to her how I became a count and the fact that I'm a military man and wasn't taught how to use a sword.
Hmm. So you are continuing to get blown.
Fantastic.
Could you reword that?
No, don't. It's too late.
The book is just blowing you away with its awesomeness. Heh heh heh.
So,
Well, I will let Mr. Zahn tell me what he wants to do in text with that. But Sylvia decides to pull you aside, Vlad, and she teaches you the basic principles of rapier combat. Oftentimes in rapier combat, you don't wish to stand like you do with most other weapons with your chest facing the enemy. You want to stand sideways. It makes yourself a harder target to hit. While this also often makes certain moves unorthodox with a rapier due to the fact that it is a light weapon and designed for primarily piercing, although it can cut, this makes the fighting style for rapier a lot more easier in this stance. You will need your speed a lot more than your strength when fighting with rapier. And she starts to go over... Go ahead.
Well, it's a good thing I have fast movement.
Indeed. Rapier is definitely a style in favoring the quick and the fast. However, it is not all about speed. There's a lot of technique involved as well, and depending upon what kind of opponent you may face with a rapier, different styles and different techniques may prove valuable or useless. Oftentimes, the most difficult thing to master with rapier is learning to block and strike at the same time. There are 4 different segments called the Fencer's Guard, or, well, in the land of Gaia there are many different traditions that use rapier, but this is how I learned. There are 4 different segments: top right, top left, bottom right. Each one of these segments can be blocked and maneuvered through different strikes or parries. And she shows you this because, like she'll say, go ahead and stab, and when you stab, she shows how she can parry your blade with a simple flick of her wrist, and at the same time lunge forward and stab you all in one motion. This is the primary key to rapier fighting: the ability to block and strike at the same time, while keeping your opponent's blade out of line, keeping your blade in between theirs, and striking your opponent, all in one movement. Due to the fact that rapier is very light and nimble, this is a very advantageous technique to learn when fighting in this particular style or with this particular weapon.
I see.
Oftentimes, it's best to, perhaps if you want a extreme advantage in combat, is to coat your rapier with some sort of elemental or striking damage or poison, or to come in for a strike and then retreat immediately. Rapiers, although not massively damaging, can be quite puncturous when struck in the right areas. She shows you with hers. Although I primarily prefer a cutlass, if you strike in areas such as this, and she shows you on the neck or shows you on the primary bodies, such as arteries like here, massive amounts of blood can be spilled. Cutlass is very similar, except it's not more of a thrusting weapon, as it's more of a cutting weapon. And there's less straight lines of fighting and more circles and half circles. But we'll get into that some other time, if you ever decide to pick up a cutlass, Vladimir.
The rapier is the preferred ceremonial weapon for the nobility of Hendel.
Indeed. And she teaches you some more basic stuff about footwork and whatnot, and you kind of get the gist of it. You are no longer handicapped with rapier. It is normal. In other words, you don't take a minus.
As soon as the website comes back up, I'll see about fixing that. I'm having some connection issues right now.
Mm-hmm. Errata, are you done with that book yet?
I'm going to start creating single intensities of cold along the pen that he's using to write in me. So first it's covered in frost, and it's going to start slowly hurting his hand.
She must not tell lies.
He always lies, Kurt.
Yeah. This time.
And that will lead to his reckoning.
You close the book, and the cold stops.
Was there something you needed, Sylvia?
Well, I was going to ask when everyone would want to head out.
Where to?
We have a place in Orlando that we can start investigating for Vlad's target.
Well, I don't. I'm not leading this one, so but I don't think we're
It
ready
all
for that.
depends. Indeed, that city that you spotted upon the mountainside, Arata, that is indeed Orlando.
Oh,
If we wish to deal with the army and possibly Vlad's target, we may be able to deal with two birds with one stone.
but if the mountain city's Londo, what about the shaman?
There is that. I'm confident that Maria can handle the defenses here. However, I do not know much about this shaman.
I'll let someone else decide. I did the scouting work.
What are we deciding?
Do we go ahead?
Whether we head to Orlando to investigate, I have found an area where your target may be. I have a contact which may be able to lead us to him. However, once we head into Orlando, this will be a step up from what you faced before.
Any word on this prowling near our fortifications here?
Apparently, the armies have diverged and gone far away from this fortress.
Okay. Who's staying back here to defend while we go?
Lady Maria, the elite guards, and a few of my associates that are on their way here.
Okay. I say we go scout it out, gather intelligence, and see if we can work up an attack plan and strategy to either full-on attack and whittle down the forces and draw the target out, or to see if we can lure the target out without engaging the major forces at all and lure him into a trap.
Well,
Agreed.
that's the thing. It's on top of a mountain. It has a cave system, and there's about 40 soldiers up there. And that cave system's also occupied.
When you were there, did it look like there were any other routes down the mountain, or just the one?
Based on the description, I would say that place is probably on a cliff face, but I wouldn't know for sure. I went up one direction and down the same direction.
What we're gonna do is see if there's any other paths up to that mountainside fortress. If there's only one path up to the mountainside fortress, we could set an ambush at the base of the mountain path and lay an ambush and a trap and set a bait out for our target.
Right, but not all of us have ranged options.
I understand that. What I'm talking about is hopefully there's enough area where we could set up what's called an L-shape ambush. Essentially, what it is the frontliners, the guys who are going to be up close, would be on the left or the right flank, and those of us from range will be in front of them. When the ranged open up, all the focus will be towards the ranged, and the frontliners can come in on the left or right flank, taking the target by surprise with a flanking fire and its overwhelming fire superiority and overwhelming combat superiority, with an ambush also, if it's possible in the area.
Could be doable. There's a bunch of rocks there.
Sylvia looks over at Stein, Ozaro, and Edris, and she says, well, they're all in accord.
So, Retta, let's go confront this target of ours, see what we can do to lure him out. And if we end up luring out the entire army, we have them in a choke point. They can only send so many at a time at us through a choke point.
All right.
So where shall I be taking us then, gentlemen?
Well, Dracovius, what was your vote on this?
What are the choices?
Do you want to come and help me and Arata collect the bounty?
Sure. I mean, I really have nothing better to do.
Grab your book, because your book doesn't have a choice. I'm not going to leave a book laying around in the camp.
Well, yeah,
So-
where he goes, I go.
So, Sylvia, I would say that if you could guide us to just before that path, while we're still in no tree line.
Do you wish to actually face off in the mountains, or do you wish to go to the contact I have discovered in Londo to track down your target?
Let's go to your contact first.
Indeed, your target is not with the army you were tracking earlier.
Alright, let's go to your contact, and we'll save that battle strategy in case we have to take that mountain.
In case things go horribly wrong, we need a safety word for your mental link. Jenga.
Banana.
Let me think on the safety word.
If it's a mental link, it's just the safety word is horribly wrong.
I can only communicate through mental communication. Let's see here. Safety word would be Blumenheim Himmelhaven.
How about something that's simpler?
Dracovius is giving the book towards you, Arata.
Yes, I am.
I'm going to take my frozen quill and write, "What do you want?" Then I'm going to start spelling out Nerd.
Well, there you have it.
You realize I'm
Alright.
on the front, right? Oh boy.
I feel hurt after 10 to 12 years of having you. You end up going into Arata's possession.
The safety word would be flapjacks.
You better be back.
Sylvia kind of squints her head and she says, "Are we all ready to go then?"
I'm gonna make a yes, we're ready to go.
Gonna do the hand sign. A-okay.
Alright, so literally the whole party is going, even players who are not here.
Fantastic. I'm going to the bathroom.
Tanya's coming too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who's that hooded guy with the lightsaber?
No one of your concern right now.
Okay.
Nonetheless, you've seen the guy walking around.
Mm-hmm.
I will wait for what's-his-face to get back, and then we'll, go ahead. I'll just tell what happens. In louder news, Kurt. Interesting to see you jump in here. Ah, the Canadian has lost connection. What else is new?
So do I have to list that I know how to use the rapier anywhere?
I don't think it was giving you any minuses because you were manually entering those in, so I think you're good.
Because all I did was put a -20 for the attack, the block, and the dodge, and I just deleted those -20s
Mm-hmm.
just now.
All right.
And apparently I have a precision right there attached to it.
It's a precision-based weapon, yeah.
As far as my rifle with that sniper scope, do I alter any of the stats on that?
You just doubled your range. So your normal distance is doubled, and then your extreme range is also, twice of what it was.
Okay, where do I find range on it?
That is something you will have to find on your own because I actually do not know off the top of my head, and I don't know where to find that. I would assume that you would just go for the range modifiers increment, and I think it's in the combat section or movement section, and you would just take the increments, like for example for you, extreme range got buffed up, so what was once far range for you is now, everything just went up one level basically.
Alright, I'm back.
You may also use it for perception rolls for long distance sighting. So with that, Sylvia cuts a tear in the air, and everyone goes through.
I love
After,
the indoors, man.
as you all enter and approach the door and fall through, you all find yourselves standing in a chapel, a dark chapel, with very few torches lit to illuminate the surrounding area. It is a round, typical Victorian kind of looking structure. Glass windows painted, very holy religious symbols of anima spread throughout, which is interesting because this new continent did not seem to worship much of the old gods, and yet here they are.
Like old god that's in like CL and Gyra.
Yes.
Ooh.
As you're all standing there in the circular room, you can see behind you there are two big dual wooden doors, like in the typical, style of a church. And you look around, and you can see not much, but you notice that there is a woman sitting in a rocking chair, rocking back and forth. She appears to be a younger woman, dressed in white with garbs, and a nun, basically a nun's outfit, except it's all white. And her head is kind of covered because it's a very long veil.
That was just like it's still like, oh, I'll let you do the talk.
Vicar Amelia, good to see you again. The woman looks up with a very, very, very pale, yet strikingly beautiful face. She's appearance 7. She looks up with very dark blue eyes at all of you. And she says, welcome. Sylvia, good to see you again as well. Are these the ones you told me about? Yes. They're the ones who need the information. Oh, yes, that. And you notice that the woman in the chair is, now known as Amelia, is holding a very strange medallion close to her chest.
I do an occult check.
Of course. You don't really know what this is.
Fair enough.
Doing a notice and a tactics. Notice to see if anything's around, and tactics to look for the best escape routes and defensive positions in the area.
Well, you haven't seen anything outside the building yet, but what you do notice around is that there are some stained glass windows. It's basically a church chapel, and the best route of exit would probably be either the doors or maybe the closest window if this, building isn't off a cliff or something. Other than that, nothing really tactically about it. It's actually just a lot of empty space with some benches and, just imagine a church, really. Just imagine a church with almost no furniture.
I'm gonna stand there a little warily and a little on guard, since I don't know this person.
The woman stands up, all while holding her little medallion in her hands, reaches into her robe and pulls out a small parchment and hands it to Vladimir.
I take it.
You look at it and open it up. It seems to be a map. A map of what at least appears what to be written on there, a map of anor londo, at least a small one. Down on the bottom there's a small area marked church, and up near the top right there's an area marked here with a black X. He is possibly in the hospital, or he may have gone into the old ruined castle. Then she points to the little black X and it's like, this is where he is. If you follow the stairs down after you exit this church, you will go through the courtyard and then the city streets, down one city street block, and then you will go across the bridge. When you have crossed the bridge, you will know what the hospital is. If he is not in the hospital, continue through the hospital to the back door to the old courtyard. In this area, you will see an old building. This is the remains, all that remains of the old castle. If he is not in either of these places, come and find me, and I can find him again. And do not fret, I owe Sylvia a favor, and I am paying it now.
Does he have anybody with him? I'm gonna enter a mental communication with her and ask if he has anybody with him.
You get nothing but static when you try and enter her mind. She says, there is no one with him. He is on his own, but there are many dangers along the route. Do be careful. And Sylvia, he has taken great care to ensure that there is no teleportation in and out of his city. This church is the only area that you may use that power in. When you're out there, you are on your own. And then she goes back down to sitting in the rocking chair.
Something smells like an ambush along this along this route.
Something smells like a trap along this trap. What?
Something smells like an ambush along this route.
It is possible. As far as I know, he is not aware of your presence here. No one is. That may change very quickly.
Is there anyone among us that can hide our presence from him?
That may be quite difficult.
Or maybe alter our presence to look smaller and not quite as threatening.
If I were to take the abilities, I could do an aura of concealment, but I don't know if bot would allow that because that would be really spontaneous spying.
I only allow buying at the end of sessions anyway.
So put that on the table.
Ideas?
No, I can't hide.
Yes, you're going to be the bait. Just like in the Northern Wars.
Lovely.
We are made men.
I know you like it.
They are made men by the blood. Born of the blood. Undone by the blood. Fear the old blood.
Right, if any,
You notice
if anybody,
the woman in the chair starts mumbling that.
if anybody doesn't have any objections, let's use Tanya and Arata as forward scouts, since they can't really hide. The rest of us hide along the sides of this route. Stick to cover and concealment as much as possible. And let Tanya and Arata be the first visual notification that our enemy will notice. And hopefully we can get the surprise on them.
Sounds good to me. I will make trophies of their spines.
Who said that?
That was Tanya.
God. When she said there, fought blood, the blood with the blood and the blood. Is there any role I could make to see what she meant?
Religion check.
Shit, what's a religion? There is
Would
no
that be a
religion.
cult?
Yeah, I think a cult would work.
Alrighty.
Well, you don't know much about any of the religions on this continent, but often what you do know is chants similar to this represent prayers.
Hmm. So then she's a local from this island?
Yes.
Silly question, but it's not. I'm kind of curious about this. So, will you be stopping by our camp at some point?
She doesn't answer you. Sylvia looks up and says, "No, she will
No.
be here."
Okay. What do you know about religion on this continent, Sylvia?
Not much, other than this is anor londo. They represent two things here: the church and the old blood.
What is the old blood?
Sylvia just looks at you and shrugs.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm in up. Key detective
Anybody
knows
this
this.
plan? Or any ideas?
What was the key detection for?
General positions, people, auras I might want to steer clear from until we get there. Stuff like that.
Most everyone's aura is pretty much as it is. When you look at the woman sitting in the chair, her aura is almost a split down the middle yin yang. It glows a bright and vibrant white, very bright, but at the same time it's covered in its outline, backing it by a pure black.
Interesting.
I'm sorry, could you connection glitch there and I couldn't understand a word? It was all robot.
Her aura is like a yin yang.
Oh. Alright, if everybody's ready, let's move out. Let's have Stein and Ozaro in the back. Make sure Ozaro brings up the rear. Stein, you stay in front of him. Everybody else follow in behind. Remember, stick to the sides of the path. Stick to cover and concealment. Arata and Tanya, just march down the middle of the path. Don't worry about trying to be silent. Don't worry about anything. Just walk.
Just do it.
Yep. You remember we did this to ambush those carriages up there outside of Karlsruhe.
Yep.
It's exactly what we're going to be doing. We don't know what we're going to be facing. So be on your guard. Weapons at the ready. Let's go do this.
Alright, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make a roll. It's gonna be great. Get weapon ready. Start shittily whispering British grenadiers. It's gonna be great.
You open the church doors to looking out. Hold on a moment. Sorry, bed just kind of collapsed in on itself there.
Yep.
You look out to a vast city. For any of you who have played Bloodborne or Dark Souls, this literally looks like anor londo. It's very medieval in architecture, but almost modernized to the point where one could almost call it ancient Victorian London.
Right.
Vast, vast towers and buildings upon buildings. The church sits on a little hill that goes down into a graveyard, which then goes into a massive courtyard, which leads down into a what you think looks like almost a hospital down below. There are 3 paths. One diverges into town, one goes straight forward into more buildings up the hill, leading towards a vast castle, and the other is the path that the map has shown you. There does not appear to be any presences around, although there is a fog looming over certain areas.
Is that road one of them?
Yes, all 3 paths have fog.
Is the fog gonna be worrisome, or just like regular fog?
Just looks like regular fog, in all honesty.
Alright, everybody hold here at the split. Tanya, I want you to advance to the edge of the fog. See if you can see anything through the fog. Towards that hospital.
But I'm the one you want to be doing that.
Doesn't Tanya have see supernatural and soul eater and all that other stuff?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Tanya does have see supernatural, but Arata does too.
I have see supernatural, all the fucking bells and whistles.
Oh, well, both of you go up to the edge of the fog and be on guard and look.
Tanya also looks around. And after looking around, you see the fact that your key detection here is hazy. Actually, everything seems hazy when it comes to supernatural vision. The book is having a really fun time because anytime if Mr. Libra turns on any sort of sight to try and see souls, it's like he's seeing them through a static TV discharge. And actually, anyone that tries to use any supernatural sight, it feels hazy and almost blind.
So, guys, I have to do a thing real quick. I'm leaving bot with instructions in case I don't get back in time for any kind of fight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, alright. Be well.
What do you see, Arata?
I'll relay all that. Shit's hazy. It's not easy to see. It's almost as if something's forcing us to use regular vision, regular sight.
Sylvia, can you see through this?
I cannot.
Hmm. Let's Arata, proceed slowly about 10 feet forward
Down which path?
towards the hospital. And remember, flapjacks. Just yell out flapjacks if you come in contact with anything.
No.
Or actually, say a sentence that involves the word flapjacks. Like, man, I wish I had some flapjacks this morning for breakfast, or something like that.
Yeah, I got you.
Sentence, and then that'll tell the rest of us that we need to move in.
Yep, no. Do that. So, let's moving on in.
So ride a dog slowly, right?
Yeah. Did that not go through?
Yeah, I'm waiting for Bot to tell me what happens.
So you go through the fog?
Yep.
Just a moment.
He goes 10 feet into the fog. So he'd be right there now.
Mm-hmm. Vlad, you start to see some beings come out of the fog.
Rada halt. There's something coming out of the fog. Everybody on the ready.
And if only you guys had ever met the other characters on the mainland right now who had just fought a bunch of these guys.
Oh, the plot thickens. What the fuck is that?
What are those?
Ah!
That's a creepy creature.
You see a bunch of black-robed figures come out of the fog, bearing cloaks that look like black bird feathers, more like ravens. Each one of them bears dual crooked swords. Two armored men with strange-looking goggles and devices stand in the back, pointing weapons very similar to Vladimir's. And a strange tangle-like creature stands in the middle of them, coming towards you. And they all look up at you, and each and every one of them has a single red glowing eye coming from their bird-like masks. And they charge.
I was gonna walk by past them. Like, top of the morning, gentlemen. No trouble here.
And that is where we
Thanks,
will
everybody.
and that is where we will save it for next session. But I will let you guys
Flapjacks, everybody.
I will
Flapjacks. Flapjacks.
I will let you guys take ready, and I will tell you guys what's going on. You see Edris pull out some sort of invisible strings and you can barely see them strand all over the place. You see Ozaru literally light himself on fire. Stein takes position behind Vlad. Sylvia draws her cutlass and cuts into the air. Tanya pulls out her claymore and starts to glow red. And Arata, you get a strange little mist starting to surround you.
Ooh.
You see a figure emerge next to you. It looks like you, except it's darker and more like the armor is black and the skin is gray. And all along its body are Latin scrolled and signatures. The being looks at you and nods and takes a ready stance.
Fuck yeah!
And with
Gonna
that,
go getting ready with him.
and with that, the session ends and the fight will begin next session.